Hey, Plump Mark. Well, Plump Mark.
Hey, Plump Mark.
You and Skid Mark, why don't you go and harass Optimus?
Welcome, friends and fans, to another edition of GalaxyCon Live, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. And today, we are going back to 1996, or 3,000 years ago, depending how you look at it, with the cast of Beast Wars Transformers. So now let's roll them out. Our first guest is an actor and author whose body of work includes Dragon Ball Z, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and Reboot. Today, he joins us to discuss the roles of Sentinel, Quick Strike, and Maximal Cheetor. Please welcome Ian James Corlett.
Hey, everyone. Hi. How are you doing? Glad to be here.
Oh, glad to have you, boss. How you doing in your corner of the world?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I'm looking forward to this. I've never done anything virtual like this before, so this is all new.
Oh, indeed. Now, is that a home studio?
Yes, this is my home studio. This is my remote studio. Currently, I am across the 49th parallel. I'm in my Vancouver studio this time.
Nice. Is that something you always had, or is that a COVID creation?
I have always had a home studio. Well, I mean, for 25 plus years. So I guess that qualifies as always.
Fair, yeah.
So I was well and truly prepared for the realities, the new realities of remote recording and such. So, I mean, it's a horrible way to make wrestle the world into my way of thinking, but I kind of, I don't mind recording from home because I've been set up for this forever.
But yeah, it was funny with all the other voice actors that were like, well, it was either sharing the guest bedroom into the recording studio or the really big closet, and I just admire everybody's innovation over the past past times, and we're just about out of the tunnel. Still got a few feet to go, but we're gonna get there.
Yep. Yeah. There's a whole lot of scrambling going on. I knew a lot of colleagues that never did have home studios, and it was like, Gah! What do I? I was fielding so many phone calls. Okay, wait a minute. Would this work? I should have charged. Consulting.
Well, they still could. I'm legitimately surprised with the amount of people who want to get into voice acting and whatnot that somebody hasn't set up a sideline of, I'll come to your house, I'll pick the room, and I'll set it up for you for X amount. Okay. Wow, we just started a business together. This is good. All right. And before I bring out our next guest, I just want to say I am or remain a huge fan of Dr. Ono from Ranma 1/2.
Oh, going deep into the vault.
Well,
Patty.
I've been watching animation for quite a long time, both Western and from Japan, and fan of both permutations, as well as computer-generated animation, which is what we're here to talk about today. But let's bring out our next guest. He is an actor whose credits include X-Men Evolution, Ben 10, and last week tonight, I should say, with John Oliver, and of course, the Ratchet & Clank video game franchise, which we will be doing another virtual event for tomorrow, Saturday at 2 p.m. We hope you join us for that. Today, though, he joins us to discuss his incredibly diverse roles in Transformers history, including Optimus Prime, Grimlock, Unicron, and of course, Predacon Megatron from Beast Wars. Please welcome David Kaye.
Hey, everyone.
How are you?
Hey, David, how are you, sir?
Let me check. Good. Yeah, pretty good. Good. Is that Ian Corlett?
Yes. Yeah, I'm right here, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
Really good. Well, I think we have to yell. We have to yell, right? Because you're a long way away.
Can you hear me up there?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, oh, that's good there.
But I'm hearing you in metric, so it's a little,
a little different, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
David, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Again, a great admirer of your career. God, you've done so much, and I will say up the top of my
so
head,
little.
Off the top of my head, I'm a big fan of your rendition of Vandal Savage in Young Justice.
Oh, cool! Thanks, thank you. That was a scary role to step into, but yeah, thanks, man. It's really that story is deep. It's molasses deep. It's just I love that series. It's crazy.
It's good, and the fact that it came out of the ether and boomeranged back. Again, Greg and his team, good on them for keeping it going and everything else. And gentlemen, Welcome to the GalaxyCon virtual stage. We're so glad to have you here today. Our team's going through the chat room right now, pulling out the questions for us. In the meantime, I'd just like to throw this out. Beast Wars, of course, was huge among the 90s kids. It remains a very critical part of Transformers history. And going back for myself, or a G1 fan, all the way up to all the other permutations. For you guys specifically, because I know you dip your toes as the other ones, but for Beast Wars, what's the best memory you've taken from being a part of that version of Transformers?
Having Ian ask Gary to pull his finger. That was my favorite moment.
Yeah, because Dave was safely on the other side of the room.
Yeah, I was over there. You guys were over there, and I was watching you two.
Yeah.
And every time Gary, I remember Gary would do, he'd be doing his monkey thing, and you'd be standing there like looking at him. It was just the funniest thing. It was okay.
Oh, Gary. We should have put a clock on this. How long will it take before Gary's name comes up?
Yeah. 30 seconds.
Yeah, he's a big character and a big man.
Yeah.
Right out. Okay, so for David, it's finger pulling, and the and the usually expected result from that. Ian, you got one?
The same. Pulling. Okay. No, that's my least favorite memory. The reality is Gary would always offer. He's, hey, pull my finger, and I'm not pulling your finger. I'm old enough to know what that means. But I think, this is going to be probably a slightly unsatisfying answer, but the whole experience and the long run that we had with the core group of actors, obviously Dave being one of them, was really good. Like it was a moment in time. And
wow.
And I think specifically you were asking, this Transformers series or permutation. I didn't have an experience with another one, until much later.
Yeah.
And it was just like a little tiny bit. So going into it, when I heard that it was Transformers, it was like, ooh, okay, this I know. There was many aspects of pop culture that, we were either starting to create or didn't know about. And this one was like, oh yeah, I know Transformers. So I was like pretty primed to and ready for that.
Now, when you say you knew Transformers, did that mean you have an expectation of, oh wow, I hope I get a really cool car or a jet? Did you have any idea that they were going in the direction of this?
No, well, I mean, I did know it was animals.
Okay.
I think it was really more from a pop culture point of view, because it was, Transformers they've been huge for as long as all of us have been around, right? So it was exciting to know that this was part of it, and let's just see, And the other thing, I'm sure we'll get into this, but it was one of the few, pre-internet stuff that I knew there was this fan community, which of course, now it's almost commonplace. There's something new comes up and like suddenly there's a fan community because everyone is interconnected. But that one was like, really, it was sort of like, well, there's Star Trek and then there was Transformers, I'm sure there was some other big ones in there too. But for me, those are the ones that stood out. So I was ready.
There you have it. Did other guys know that they were going to go the computer generated route that they did, or going into this was just maybe traditional hand drawn or something? Because this was pretty groundbreaking. It wasn't the first one, but this really pushed the limits of that technology at that time.
I have an answer, but I've been talking too much.
Do I have an answer? I as opposed to Ian, I really had no idea what I was getting into. I really didn't have a clue. I grew up on Bugs Bunny and Tex Avery and weird cartoons, and I did watch some G.I. Joe as a kid. I was into Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, and Lon Chaney, and I sort of, me and my friend, and we were into comics big time, like Marvel and DC and all those everything. So I really didn't have any idea. I had no preconceptions. I had no idea what I was going to do until I actually got in the room. The first one. Was it Doug Parker was doing the initial ones over at
I think so. Yep.
That studio that was the flags were. What was it called again?
Plaza of Nations.
Plaza of, I can't
where
remember.
Expo 86 was.
That's right. And it was over there, and I remember just goofing around and with people, and I got in the booth and I said, I don't know, and I started. So I really didn't know until Venus Turzo and I were invited to this BotCon. It was in Rochester, New York. And it really wasn't until then I went, oh, like, holy, so all these people are here for this? Until that moment, I really didn't have a clue. And still to this day, there are shows that I'm doing that I've forgotten about, that I'm in the midst of. And I actually asked a question the other day, a show that we're working on. I said, so how does it get to be from that to this? Still, I'm Ian knows much more about the process and these things that I do. I just sort of one of those people that show up and was amazed that I actually got hired to do something, and then many years later I said, so that's a cartoon. I come from a part of oblivion. I'm much safer in my oblivion bubble sometimes, because I don't know. I don't want to expect too much, but yeah, the first time we saw the animation was remember the day that we were in old Pinewood Studios. We had, okay, everybody, here's your chairs, and Sue Blues, and you guys, it's gonna be something. This is gonna be crazy. This is amazing. And then they put it on the screen. There's this renderings, the first little moments of the thing, and I remember like,
it was a very big screen.
Yeah, the huge screen. I was at first thing I thought was, wow, this is like the future. And and that's how that happened, where I was like, well, okay, this is something different.
Your part of your first question was, did we know it was going to be CGI and groundbreaking and everything? And the short answer to that is I did know, and that is because the group that ended up producing and animating the show was called Mainframe Animation, who did Reboot prior to that, which was the first CGI network TV animation show for kids.
Yep.
And I knew those guys since before they did Reboot. It was three British dudes and Chris Bruff, the infamous producer who had married a lady named Josanne Lovick, who really pioneered the voice acting casting community in Vancouver. And like every voice actor that works in Vancouver or came out of Vancouver has a debt to Josanne Lovick.
Is it fair to say she's the Andrea Romano of Vancouver?
It's similar, except she was not a director. She was strictly a producer casting agent.
Okay, all right.
And she eyeballed a market and went, I think that needs to be here. And she went down to LA and just started pounding the pavement. So it was kind of there was the big production centers in Canada are Toronto and Vancouver. And Toronto already had a little leg up because they had an industry sort of within themselves a little bit for Canadian TV. But Josanne specifically targeted Los Angeles and international clients to come. So that's a little squiggly history to get back to Chris Bruff, who she ended up marrying. And, people get married for all sorts of reasons. I think that was a marriage of some convenience because he was an American, she was a Canadian, and they both wanted to kind of work.
Sure.
How that works. And anyway, very shortly after that coupling, these Brits come, and they were the guys. If you're an old music fan, but an old music and animation fan, the Dire Straits video, "Money for Nothing," the big, kind of rudimentary wire-framed, robot man, they made that.
Wow.
So with the help of Mr. Chris Bruff, this group started Mainframe Productions. All right. So, and I remember sitting because they lived there's a border town in really close to Vancouver called Point Roberts, and it's just across the border in Washington State, and that's where Bruff and Lovick live because this U.S.-Canada thing. I mean, literally, you can drive there. It's a commute to Vancouver. So anyway, I had this meeting with those guys early on because I was trying to write things, and I became a writer for animation as well. So that's why I knew what I was getting into, because that group had already had big success with Reboot.
Yeah,
and I knew that was the same producer. So I went, okay, well, this is going to be CGI. This is going to be pretty cool. So that's some deep back of the drawer, dusty file cabinet history for you.
Not at all. I knew the Reboot connection. I did not know it going all the way back to the Dire Straits video, which in and of itself was groundbreaking. So
absolutely.
Right.
And it looks like the Stone Age, today. But
it was cutting edge for its time, and then it still holds up, and the quality of the scripts still holds up as well too. Again, a few weeks ago we got the assignment to revisit it. And I was like, what impressed, they really went into the lore. They didn't just try to do a hard reboot. They were like, we're really going to bridge G1 into this, and we're not going to say one's better or worse. We're just going to continue it. And I think in that they truly succeeded. And I think among the bothead community, I think the consensus is they very much did so.
I agree. Now, the lore I knew nothing about. That absolutely just blank page. Boink. I don't know. I just knew Transformers because they had toys at McDonald's, and little kids loved it. And I always remember the theme song. Transformers more than me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you for indulging my capricious curiosity. We're good to go on audience questions, so let's go ahead and roll our first one. And we'll sum up with Rose, who wants to know, did either of you have a favorite superhero when you were growing up?
Gosh, I think Superman was always. And I was sort of traditionalist. I had Superman and Batman. They were always my heroes. Just because of the comics.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've never really been into superheroes. But if Superman was up there, but mostly not because of the comics, because I really didn't read comics as a kid. I was a little film nerd, and it was all animation, all Disney, all the time for me. But the movie, the Superman movie, circa 78 ish.
Yeah.
I remember the tagline like today: "You will believe a man can fly." And it was big special effects movie, so I really like that. But as I in retrospect, as I think about superheroes, I realize that I'm not a big fan of superheroes. That is why I like Batman, because Batman is just a really, really wealthy man who makes things that make him appear super. So I like that.
There you have it. Let me follow up with this. Did either of you guys have a favorite cartoon character growing up?
Oh, I was all about Bugs.
Yeah.
For me, it was all about Bugs Bunny. That was just the greatest,
Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Hour. When did that come on, Dave? What time of day was that on?
It was like around 5:30 or 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, you were back east.
Yeah,
and it was right before Hockey Night in Canada.
Oh, that's right.
It was like you got set up for about 4 hours of great TV in Canada.
That's right. Oh, do you remember the show, The Wizard of Oz? The Wizard of Oz. There's a funny, funny place where everyone wears a funny, funny face. All the streets are paved with gold, and no one ever goes old in a funny place called the It's hey, Rusty. There was those. You remember those characters? Those weird just sort of the in my neck of the woods, they were on like WKBW Buffalo TV. It was always on those, or CKVU, or one of the ones in Barrie.
Yeah,
it was all East Coast. You don't remember that one?
No,
Yeah,
that must have been a regional thing.
Yeah, it must have been. I played a lot. And actually, thinking back, the Flintstones, I watched a lot of Flintstones, and my favorite character in the Flintstones was Gazoo.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Dum Dum. I mean, I just, I think that's not
Tony Randall.
I think that's, yeah, that's right. That was my favorite character. Was it Court? Was it Court? Who was Gazoo?
It was Harvey Korman.
Was it Harvey Korman? Ooh, excuse me.
No, I think it was, but I think it was Harvey Korman channeling Tony Randall. I think
you know what? You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that. There was a lot of those.
I love both of those. In terms of a character, even though I was a huge Disney guy, and for me it was like traditional Disney, like there was, it was Mickey Mouse. The Mickey Mouse design for me had to be pre 1942. I did not like the other ones. I did not like the whites in his eyes. I was like really, really into this.
So you're like
but my
that's like Steamboat Willie style.
Yeah, exactly. Up to late 30s.
Sure.
I, as far as a character that I really related to and really, really liked, Snoopy.
My dad's favorite.
Yeah.
Big, and it was big in the pop culture of 73, 74, 75. It was like, it was one of the first characters, along with Mickey Mouse, of course, that there was like cool merchandising for, and still not lots. Like, I mean, today it's merchandising for everything.
And literally, he was Joe Cool, so it was cool.
He was so cool, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That or the world famous World War I flying ace, etc. All of it.
Yes, and it was a great music video. What was the song? It was the Red Baron.
Oh yeah, Snoopy versus the Red Baron.
Yeah,
from the tennis. Yeah, they did go to it too. So, all right. Well, Rose, thank you. That was a great question.
Thank you, Rose.
Some great spots. What do we have next? Here's one from Motley.
Crew.
If you could build your own Transformers, what would be their name? What would be their name? What would they look like? I assumed in their transformed mode. Like they would be a generic robot as themselves, but what would they turn into? Animal, mineral, or vegetable, or vehicle?
This is going to sound a little weird. The only thing I can think of right now that popped into my head is Maurice LaMarche, who's in a session, and he started riffing on Transformer names, and we come up with the skid mark. So skid mark, way to ruin everything, skid mark. And he was doing this whole riff on skid. I always said that would be kind of a fun Transformer. Maybe not.
Skid mark, ready for duty, Optimus.
Yeah, ready for duty.
There you go. Ready for duty.
Oh, wow.
Skid mark, what a pleasant surprise.
I can't top that. I mean,
that was Maurice LaMarche, so I can't.
And I can totally see Maurice coming up with that too. Yeah.
Mine, jeez. It would have, it would either be a camera, like some kind of camera.
Sure.
And giving thought to a name, that's a whole nother thing. It would either be a camera or some kind of Porsche 911 that, like in its non-transformed state.
Photobot.
Yeah, maybe both. Photo Fritz.
Yeah.
Skid mark.
There he goes. Is that an actual thing?
That's from the Transformers wiki, so
jeez.
What?
Really? There is one? Come on. Somebody. Really? There's a skid mark. Skid mark. Way to ruin that one, skid mark. And I just that's interesting. I didn't know.
Weird thing is, it looked like he had a camera for a head too. So
maybe we're combining him.
All right. Okay, Motley, fun question. Thank you.
Thank you, Motley.
Yeah, what's next?
Say hi to the crew.
Yeah. Oh, Rosalind, what were your first voice acting roles? And I'll say this as as what you consider to be. You know, maybe you did a little jingle for a commercial or something, but however you define, okay, I'm really in this with both feet now.
Well, it was a commercial for me when I felt like, okay, I'm doing this. And it was kind of, I broke into voiceover in Vancouver because there was a pretty vibrant commercial production community in Vancouver. This is well before Hollywood North, well before, you know, X-Files, Stephen J. Cannell, all of that stuff. And it was a neat little bit of not Hollywood, but, you know, advertising Hollywood,
sure.
In strictly audio. So it came out of a production company called GGRP, which stood for Griffiths, Gibson, and Ramsey Productions, and they were a jingle company. So they got successful, and then they just kind of started branching out and producing the voice to go with the TV commercial or the radio commercial. And then it became sort of like this troupe. It went from, you know, like straight ahead, you know, Rice-A-Roni jingle commercials to like, they're going to have the, like, sort of a comedy troupe. And there was like the big names in the town, you know, the weatherman, Norm Groman, and the big DJ on C-Fun, you know, like the Fred Latrimo and Bill Ryder, and like all these guys came together and they made these commercials. So I went, okay, that's what I'm going to try and do. And I banged on the door, their virtual door, handing them tapes every 6 months. And I finally got cast. I did a couple of little things, and I finally got cast as sort of a John Cleese character, because I thought I do character voices. I'm not going to be an actor. I didn't think I was going to be anyway. You know, that was just Cheetor and Mega Man were a mere twinkle in someone's eye at that point. So I thought, well, I'm going to be a character guy. So it was for a beer. It was a New Zealand beer, and their mascot was a kiwi. Does anyone know anything about, what are the brands? What are the big brands for beers out of New Zealand? It was one of those big ones. Anyway, so I was supposed to, you know, barge in on this silly commercial, and I sounded like John Cleese. I went, right, stop this right now. This is absolutely ridiculous. And that was when I went, okay, I think I can do this.
All right. Right on. Nice. So David, what do you feel like you got in it?
I remember when I used to visit, my wife used to work at a place called Northwest Imaging when we lived up there, and with the studio, Dick and Rogers was at the top floor, right, of that studio, or that building. And I remember looking out. I remember seeing Ian and Scott, have a cigarette, and Gary, and they'd be out on the lawn, and all I could think of was, and they had their big giant cell phones with them. Like Mike Donovan was there as well, you know, and I thought, God, that'd be kind of cool to be part of that group. Wow, that'd be awesome. And I was an annoying little kid back then, but I just wanted to. And then along came this. I don't know what happened, how it got to this point, but Gord Stanfield, who did Care Bears, did he not do Care Bears? Well, they came up with a cartoon, Cleo the Misfit Unicorn, and Cleo was Saffron Henderson, and I got to play this hippo, and how do you hate the sound of a voice like this? And Mickey Rooney was in the series. They'd recorded him down here, and we recorded, you know, with no budget. And I saw the first, you know, I saw the show on television. And oh, wow! So I realized that I just want to do that forever. I don't want to do anything else. And G.I. Joe solidified that. When I got a chance to work with Ian and Gary, and for the first time was when they hired me as General Hawk, as I had no idea what I came from radio, and I was honestly at the time I was not liking, you know, hey everybody, it's 75 degrees, here's Madonna, and it was like, you know, and I begged Steve over at one of the commercial houses, just bring me in on something, even if you think I can't do it, just bring me in on something. and he did. God bless him. And I ended up booking something, and so that there was a few things that happened, but it was a Cleo show, and then G.I. Joe sort of went. That's it. I remember going back after a session to the radio, doing a session on the radio, or so the next day. I'm sitting there watching MTV while the music is playing in the background. I'm like bored to tears. I'm thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do that, and I'll do anything I can. And I want to get good, and I want to study, and I want to just be able to do that for the rest of my life, because I'm done now with this. This is not meaningful. Radio was changing at that time. But, I think that's what the moment was for me.
Right on. There you have it. Rosalind, great question. Thank you so much for that. And let's roll another one. And here's one from Plump Mark. If you could have your own Transformers metal band, what would your name be and why? It doesn't have to be a metal band. It could be any type of music you want it to be. I'll shift it up like that. So if you wanted to do, easy listening or country or
suits
you go first.
Oh, thanks, Dave. What
was the question again?
If you could do a Transformers band, what would you call it?
Yeah, metal band.
And it doesn't have to be metal. You can change it to any type of music you want.
I got one. After our good friend Jimmy Burns, how about the Infernos? Come on. Hey, I got one for you. I got a dirty joke for you. Yeah. The Infernos.
Okay.
Punk band, and the Infernos.
Oh crap. Missing Pieces.
That actually kind of works.
Is there a band called Missing Pieces, or a song?
No, Missing Persons.
Oh
yeah.
And then there's some other band with something Pieces. The Easy Pieces. No.
Missing Pieces. That works. That totally works. Especially if you collect the toys. There's always one or two little bits of kibble that's missing. So,
yep.
All right, there you have it, Plump Mark. That was an interesting one.
Plump Mark is so that you differentiate between your brother Slim Mark? Maybe
no, that's a good name for a Transformer. Hey, Plump Mark.
Plump Mark.
Hey, Plump Mark. You and Skid Mark. Why don't you go and harass Optimus? That's a good one. That's like.
There you have it. All right. What's next? From Shameson. If you could have had your character be a different animal on the show, what would it have been?
Ooh, that's easy. That's really easy. Because it's really close to what my character was. My favorite animal, I have two favorite animals, aside from, dogs and, normal animals. Two exotic animals. Love dolphins. But I've always really loved tigers, so it would have been a tiger.
Fair,
not a stretch from Cheetor.
No, not at all. I'm a fan of tigers myself. Every time I go to Animal Kingdom, I spend pretty much a good hour just staring at the tiger enclosure.
Yeah, they're majestic and just like they're so awesome. Like the fact that they have got bold Halloween colored markings.
Yep.
That it's like I was about to say pardon my French, but I'm not going to swear. But it's like, yeah, come at me. I know you can see me from anywhere. That's a tiger. Yeah, whatever. You want some of this?
Very
you know
true.
Where to find me. Anyway.
Very true. All right, and David.
The animals. My favorite Disney character was the from Jungle Book. There was the lion, the black, the panther, the
panther. Not Shere Khan, but
Shere Khan. Isn't Shere Khan? That's where I sort of took notes for Megatron from, was that character. But they're just the way that there's just the way they move, slowly. I just I'm with Ian. I'm with the cats, or just like, just gonna the way they just that Black Panther sort of thing. I like that. The cats are always fun because there's in acting there's these animal exercises you can do and for play and warming up, and you get into the character of the animal, and that's I think it's how a lot of us did that. I mean, remember Alec Willows? Remember watching him work where he was the tarantula and he would become the spider. And it's just it's animal work, right? It was creepy watching.
Alec.
It was awesome.
Love Alec. I did my first. You're back to your story there, Dave, about your first Transformers convention. My first thing was a BotCon 2000, BotCon 2000. And it was with Alec Willows and Venus. And it was such a pleasure because I didn't know what to expect. It was like, I don't know. I haven't done one of these things. Anyway, Alec was just, I really got to know him on that trip. And he's a great travel companion. And we've done a bunch of stuff since then. It was great.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Nice. There you have it. So yeah, some feline trip. I dig that. Fun question, Jameson. Thank you. Yeah. What do we have next? From Aaron. What's everybody's favorite Disney movie?
Ooh, that's not fair, Aaron. What kind of a question is
or
that?
What's one of your favorites?
Okay.
Give you a little.
Dave's got an answer.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Up.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I was in it, but no, the movie Up.
you know,
I was in it. I'm sliding in a little. I wasn't, but that movie was the first movie that I love Disney movie. But first, it made me like, I gotta cry.
Oh,
it was an emotional movie. It was really good.
You're gonna find this surprising, especially you, Dave, because you really know me. I am not a crier, but Disney animation forever
makes you cry.
Gotten me because they do it really well. I would say my favorite. I've got so many. Old days. The Rescuers. Really like The Rescuers.
Yeah.
Great film. You know, it was one of the films that I saw in the theater, and it really was like, because I loved Ava Gabor. Just her voice is so good, and I love Bob Newhart. So that was an early one for me. And then later, of course, I love Herbie the Love Bug, not an animated movie.
Oh wow, yeah, Herbie.
But that was just a great movie. Just so stupid.
Yeah.
And then in more modern times, I know probably most of our audience here today are going to go, "What do you mean modern times?" When I say this, WALL-E. Really liked WALL-E.
Yeah, it was great.
Thematically, I really, really, really like WALL-E. And while we're on this, and I'm kind of combining Disney Pixar because we are.
It's fair.
The strangest thing happens with me and Disney movies. Like a new one comes up, and you see a trailer for it, and this goes back at least 5 or 10 years. And I see a trailer for something, and I just go like Coco comes out, and I see a trailer for it, and I just find, I don't know. Frozen comes out, see the trailer for it. Geez, I don't know. And it doesn't motivate me to want to see it. It's just my whoever's producing the trailers is like, it's not for me. It's for everyone else. Because then these movies go on to be like giant hits, and I go, okay, well, I better watch it. And then I love it. Yeah. So it's really weird. I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to name a Disney animated movie that I'm kind of like, so on, because they're very, very good. But those are my favorites.
I've always liked Peter Pan and all its iterations. I've always liked just the characters and there's so many like life moments, and there's so many messages, wonderful messages, and I always say, Peter. I always enjoyed seeing any iteration of that for whatever reason. I think it's because I don't know about Ian. I'm sure Ian as well, but as a child, my imagination ran rampant. I think a lot of us in the industry who are in this business have crazy imaginations, and it comes from that. It comes from, and when you see Peter Pan, you go, oh yeah, it is magical. It is, because this creates that. I mean, when you think about it, it's pretty amazing. So, yeah,
As a big Hans Conried nerd too, that's always one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's, absolutely.
Royalty.
And I've always said, as far as I always say, if you don't feel some pangs of emotion during the baby mind sequence of Dumbo, you don't have a soul.
Correct.
Yes, that's right.
Damn it!
I know. It's so terrible. And there you have it, Aaron. Great question. I think we got time for one more, so let's see if we can get a really fun one. And here's one from Hobolat. If you could be on any game show, past, present, future, whatever, what would it be?
As a contestant?
As a contestant.
Okay.
But I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. Yeah, as a contestant, or maybe you want to be one of the panel on the match game or Hollywood Squares. It's just like I said, shoot.
Yeah, I know. I always wanted to be the announcer for Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Hollywood Squares. I always wanted to, but remember, you can do an amazing Paul Lynde, can't you? Remember
Oh
Paul
yeah,
Lynde,
absolutely.
yeah.
Every time I could stay home from school and watch Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Oh, he had such good lines. On that
they
show.
were also
double entendres. Oh man. So I would love to be on. Actually, you hit it on the nail on the head, Patty. I'd like to be either Match Game or Hollywood Squares as a guest.
Yeah, just one of the panelists. Yeah.
I always wanted to be an announcer. I keep bugging my agent and say, can you give me like a Price is Right thing? He says, DK, you'll be there all day. You don't make any. You're going to be highly. You're not going to be able to. You won't be able to do cartoons. You're gonna. Yeah, but it'd be kind of fun just to do a game show. Hey, come on down.
Yeah,
just because.
I agree.
I don't know.
Curiously enough, you know who actually owns the rights to Hollywood Squares right now? Henry Winkler.
Hey, let's get a hold of Henry.
Oh, Henry.
I worked for Henry on Dead Man's Gun. Remember, we used to be in Vancouver all the time.
Yeah.
You got a night out. By the way, Dead Man's Gun is an incredibly underrated film. We have had Henry on several times, and I always have to geek out about, Dead Man's Gun. It's like, Patty, you're the only person that remembers that show. Thank you. Bless you for that.
I know, just a
nice
quick
guy.
Yeah, it's good. Just a quick side note. I auditioned to be with on that series, and I got the role, and my agent said, so you're good with a horse, right? And I went, what do you mean? He said, well, you said you could ride a horse on the thing. You can ride a horse, right? I go, well, I don't know. He says, don't tell me you lied. I go, well,
was there a box I was supposed to check?
Was there a thing? And I literally had, and he said, well, what do we tell them? I said, I got this. I got it. So North Shore Equestrian Center, I called them. Can you teach me how to ride a horse in 1 week?
Yeah.
So I had to, and of course I got on set. I know what I'm doing. I got on the horse I learned English and Western riding and learned how to be around the horse and not feel uncomfortable in 1 week. And that's Henry Winkler's series. He did it. And I pulled it off, but don't ever do that. I'm telling you.
No.
What do you mean you can't ride a horse?
Yeah. Yeah, because you put those little odd skills on there.
Yeah.
They'll call you out on it because you put it on there. And everybody else was honest and didn't have it, So you could juggle, right?
Oh yeah, I got that.
Sure.
Yeah, so all right. Well, Home-A-Lot, there you go. Fun question.
No, I there's only so much Dave I can absorb.
You're not invited. You're not invited. Go pull Gary's finger.
We
were on a show together. Where were you? Yeah.
Oh, I'll never watch. Look what someone did.
There we go.
Nice.
Hey, Mark. It's Home-A-Lot. Home-A-Lot and what's the other one?
It's our Home-A-Lot.
And Plump Mark.
Gentlemen, any final words for our audience before we take our leave?
Well, thanks everyone for your questions. They were awesome. Love going down memory lane on stuff like this, and thanks for coming.
Yes, likewise. What he said. Well said. I agree. I concur.
Guys, it's been my absolute pleasure to serve you. Once again, thank you for joining us here on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Thank you to our audience for joining us. And thank you, as always, for your great questions. Hope to see everybody again soon. Until then, bye-bye, take care, and remember, smiles are free. Spend them often.